Sweetheart, let me handle it.
2023 has been a thrilling ride for horror fans with a diverse range of films hitting the big screen and streaming platforms. While blockbusters and major franchises have grabbed headlines, there's a treasure trove of underrated horror gems that have quietly made their mark. These films might not have garnered the spotlight, like The Nun or Exorcist, but they are worth your time. So, in this video, we will dive into the top 10 underrated horror movies of 2023 that you shouldn't miss. I'll look forward to knowing how many of these you've already watched. Let's get started. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The Boogeyman. In the film, therapist Will Harper and his daughters, Sadie and Sawyer, are reeling from the sudden death of their wife and mother. Their lives take a deeper turn when Lester Billings, a man haunted by the deaths of his children, supposedly at the hands of a sinister entity, commits suicide in their home. The Harper household soon becomes plagued by eerie occurrences. Sadie finds disturbing mold spreading around the house, while Sawyer is tormented by a nightmarish creature lurking under her bed. As the entity's presence grows, the sisters uncover their identity: the Boogeyman, a malevolent force that feeds on fear and can mimic voices. Their nightmare escalates during a girls' night, leading to Sawyer's hospitalization and a deadly confrontation between Sadie and the creature. The Boogeyman delivers a surprisingly gripping experience, especially for those skeptical about PG-13 horror films or adaptations of Stephen King's works. The film, gaining King's own nod of approval on Twitter, skillfully maintains a creepy atmosphere throughout, a commendable feat within its rating constraints. Sophie Thatcher and Vivian Lyra Blair, as sisters grappling with grief and fear, anchor the film with strong performances. Their portrayal of contrasting age perspectives on trauma adds depth to the narrative. The creature itself, a blend of CGI and practical effects, stands out with its eerie design and unsettling animalistic voice replication. While the film doesn't reinvent the horror genre, it effectively balances tension and character development. The story, kicking off with a jarring opening scene, weaves the family's drama with the supernatural elements seamlessly. However, the father character, despite a relatable backstory, feels underdeveloped and more of a narrative hindrance than an asset. Influencer. The movie is about Madison, a social media influencer in Thailand, for whom things take a dramatic turn when her vacation's facade of glamour meets the horrors of reality. Madison, portraying a perfect trip online, is actually spending her days isolated in a luxury hotel, disappointed by her boyfriend Ryan's absence. This is when we meet CW, a newfound friend who introduces her to local attractions, but soon reveals ulterior motives. The plot thickens when Madison's hotel room is burglarized, her passport stolen. CW convinces her to extend her stay, then abandons her on a deserted island and takes over Madison's lavish lifestyle and identity. CW's enjoyment of this stolen life is fleeting, though. She quickly grows bored and targets Jessica, another influencer, hoping for more excitement. Will her horrors ever end? Curtis David Harder's thriller finds its unique edge in the portrayal of social media's dark side, led by a compelling performance from Cassandra Nod. The film, structured in 4 parts focusing on different characters, veers away from the typical satirical critique of modern-day influencers. Instead, it delves into a more sinister and self-absorbed area. Cassandra Nod, playing the predator of the influencer world in Thailand, skillfully handles her character's manipulative and predatory nature. Influencer draws parallels with Wild Things, particularly in its cynical take on human nature. Interestingly, and to be honest, fortunately, it lacks any sexual content, reflecting the film's focus on the sterile, appearance-obsessed world of digital media. Despite its strong points, the film doesn't fully explore the psychological depths of its characters, particularly CW. Her backstory and motivations motivations remain a mystery, leaving the audience with only speculations. Clock, directed by Alexis Jacknow, is a provocative take on maternal horror. The film features Diana Agron as Ella, a woman grappling with societal pressures to have children. She joins a clinical trial to fix her supposedly broken biological clock. The film boldly addresses the notion that a woman's desire not to have children is often seen as a deficit, rather than a personal choice. The film's exploration of maternal horror is noteworthy, but not without its shortcomings. Clock intricately weaves Ella's personal journey with broader cultural and historical context. It delves into her struggle with her Jewish identity and the guilt of potentially not continuing her family line post-Holocaust, paralleling the historical context of forced sterilizations in different communities. Diana Agron delivers a nuanced performance, portraying Ella's transformation from a confident, child-free woman to someone consumed by societal expectations and fears. The film uses horror elements to externalize the pressures and fears associated with motherhood, turning routine health visits and reproductive choices into sources of dread. However, the film falters in its pacing, particularly in the latter half, where it veers into more traditional horror territory with jump scares. This shift slightly detracts from the film's earlier, more psychological and socially reflective horror. Clock shines when it focuses on the societal critique of forced motherhood, but loses some impact when it resorts to conventional horror tactics. Overall, Clock is a thought-provoking addition to the maternal horror genre. I think it is one of those films that may falter in parts, but sail through as a whole.
I've had this jacket forever.
Swallowed. The movie is about two friends, Benjamin and Dom, in a small Maine town. On the eve of Ben's departure to LA to pursue a career as a gay porn star, Dom, harboring secret feelings for Ben, involves them in a risky drug run to Canada to financially support Ben's new start. The plot thickens when they meet Alice, their contact, who forces them to swallow condoms filled with an unknown substance. The situation spirals out of control at a rest stop when a confrontation with a homophobic aggressor leads to some violence. As the story unfolds, the true nature of their cargo is revealed. They are venomous larvae that induce a high that can serve as an aphrodisiac, but if they hatch inside you, it's a fate worse than death. This news comes as Dom's health rapidly deteriorates. The tension escalates in a cabin in the woods when Ben is coerced into a grotesque and desperate act to save Dom's life. As Dom succumbs to the venom's effects, Alice, feeling remorseful, tries to intervene only to be killed by Rich, who was her boss. In a climactic sequence, Ben, armed with nothing but tweezers, manages to overpower and incapacitate Rich, escaping to a nearby waterfall. But Dom is still pretty sick. Swallowed is a film that pushes boundaries, combining intense vulnerability with suspense in a uniquely queer narrative. The film's portrayal of the retrieval of drug-filled condoms is handled with a surprising blend of suspense and visceral realism, steering clear of cheap comedic tactics. This disturbing scenario is further amplified by the arrival of Alice's boss, portrayed brilliantly by Mark Patton. Swallowed resonates profoundly with the LGBTQ+ themes, exploring the fears and resilience often required of queer individuals in society. The film's latter half is basically a chilling psychological standoff. The climax, while requiring some suspension of disbelief, is a powerful and tense finale, almost resembling Quentin Tarantino's signature style in movies like *Inglourious Basterds* and *Pulp Fiction*. The journey to this conclusion, however, is not for the faint of heart. It goes into uncomfortable and graphic territory, including explicit nudity and unsettling scenes involving the drug larva. Huesera, the Bone Woman. Huesera, the Bone Woman, directed by Michelle Garza Cervera, is another film that delves deep into the dark side of motherhood. The story centers around Valeria, portrayed by Natalia Solian, a new mother wrestling with societal expectations and her own identity. After undergoing a ritual to address the entity haunting her, Val's life becomes entangled with supernatural elements that embody her inner turmoil. The film's strength lies in its portrayal of Val Val, a character torn between her desires, societal expectations, and her past as a rebellious punk rocker. Her struggle with the paternalism she faces during her pregnancy and her reluctance to embrace maternal roles are central to the narrative. Cervera effectively captures Val's internal conflict and the societal pressure of becoming a mama first and an individual second. As Val's pregnancy progresses, she experiences terrifying visions and grapples with feelings of inadequacy. These anxieties are paralleled by disturbing body horror imagery and a possession exorcism narrative that mirrors postpartum psychosis. The film's title, Huesera, meaning bone setter, plays into the theme of breaking and healing, suggesting that Val must confront and deconstruct her fears to find resolution. Huesera concludes with a provocative twist that reinforces Cervera's bold storytelling. It's a story that not only explores the complexities of motherhood, but also challenges the viewer to embrace the idea that sometimes facing one's deepest fears is the only way forward. Exploring the pregnancy as body horror and haunted house themes, Huesera blends these familiar subgenres. Cervera's direction is noteworthy, with a keen eye for millennial color palettes and meticulous shot composition, making every frame of the film visually arresting. The sound design and score are particularly effective, heightening the tension and contrasting sharply with the film's punk soundtrack. The Price We Pay. The Price We Pay is a gripping crime horror action film that delivers an adrenaline-pumping experience for genre enthusiasts. Directed by Rue Haig, known for Midnight Meat Train, the movie thrives on its straightforward, unpretentious approach, blending a classic crime narrative with horror elements. The film kicks off with a tense and violent encounter in a pawn shop, where Grace, desperate and debt-ridden, becomes entangled with a group of robbers. The heist, led by Cody, Alex, and Alex's brother Shane, quickly turns into a bloodbath. Grace unexpectedly is forced to become their getaway driver. With nowhere to go and Shane injured, the group finds refuge in a seemingly deserted ranch. Later, they encounter Danny, a nervous teenager with hints of a sinister secret. The ranch, far from being abandoned, conceals a gruesome underground facility run by Danny's grandfather, a deranged doctor with a dark mission. The film occasionally stumbles with some cliched moments, particularly during scenes involving the doctor's monologues and grisly experiments. However, these are minor setbacks in an otherwise fast-paced thriller. The story is intensified by graphic scenes of surgery and corporeal horror, masterfully executed by Rue Haig direction and Matthias Schubert's vibrant cinematography. The cast delivers strong performances, with Dorff doing great as the conflicted ex-military medic. Overall, The Price We Pay is a relentless ride that expertly combines the elements of survival, gore, and suspense. While treading familiar ground, the film's energetic direction and effective gore effects make it a worthwhile watch for fans of the genre. The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster, directed by Bomani J. Story, is a fresh reinterpretation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, blending horror with a sharp critique of contemporary American social issues. The film centers around Vicaria, portrayed by Lea DeLeon Hayes, a bright high schooler haunted by the deaths of her family members. Determined and daring, she resurrects her deceased brother into a living creature, symbolizing a fight against the systemic injustices leading to disproportionate deaths in the Black community. The film cleverly subverts traditional horror tropes, starting with its title. While it features a creature, the real horrors are rooted in everyday experiences, systemic racism, police aggression, and microaggressions faced by Black people. These elements are handled with a balance of directness and subtlety, avoiding heavy-handedness while still delivering impactful messages. Bomani's direction is deliberate and poignant. The creature, wearing a hoodie, becomes a symbol of the vilification of Black youth, while Vicaria's broken glasses represent her skewed perception of reality. The film excels in creating an unsettling atmosphere, with meticulous attention to the creature's physical details. Denzel Whitaker as Kango, the neighborhood drug dealer, breaks away from stereotypes, offering thoughtful and engaging exchanges with Vicaria. However, the creature itself itself, central to the story, is underdeveloped, often seen only in glimpses, and lacking significant interaction with other characters. This limits the creature's impact on the story, leaving more potential unexplored. Furthermore, the film's climax presents a challenge as it tries to resolve Vicarious' journey. In seeking a conclusion, the film somewhat retreats from its initial boldness, offering an ending that doesn't quite match the ambitious goals set earlier. The attempt to use horror as a lens to critique systemic racial issues in America is commendable, but falters slightly in its final execution. Sick. Set during the COVID-19 pandemic, the movie tells the story of college students seeking revenge. The film opens with Tyler Murphy being murdered in his dorm room, which sets the stage for whatever comes next. Best friends Parker Mason and Mary Woodlow, seeking solace from the pandemic, decide to quarantine at Parker's secluded lake house, sharing their retreat on Instagram. Their peace is soon disrupted by mysterious text messages and the unexpected arrival of Parker's fleeing DJ. Tensions rise when DJ confronts Parker about her Instagram post, showing her with another boy, Benji. The situation turns badly when a masked intruder breaks in, steals their phones, and fatally stabs DJ after a violent encounter. Parker and Mary, in a desperate escape attempt, face slashed tires and a relentless pursuit back into the house. Mary survives a fall from the roof, and Parker manages to kill one of the attackers in self-defense. As the story unfolds, it's revealed that the attackers are a family seeking revenge for their son Benji's death from COVID-19, which they blame on Parker. In a shocking twist, Parker is kidnapped by the family, who reveal themselves as Jason and Pamela and the late intruder as their elder son. They conduct a COVID-19 test on Parker, confirming her positive status, and disclose their involvement in Tyler Murphy's death, motivated by their twisted quest for vengeance. The film successfully establishes a genuine connection between its main characters, Parker and Mary, portrayed with a relatable authenticity that immediately draws the audience into their plight. Director John Hyams crafts intense and artfully shot chase sequences around the lake house, making effective use of the setting. Cinematographer Yaron Levy captures the violence with a keen eye, adding a layer of visual intrigue to these scenes. Despite this, the film initially struggles to maintain its unique edge, veering into a familiar territory of the home invasion genre. The last 20 minutes of the movie are particularly chaotic and engaging. Sick cleverly uses the backdrop of the pandemic to subvert expectations and flip the script. While the film has its flaws, including some predictable jump scares and a middle section that feels a bit too by the book, it ultimately excels for its bold and unique take on the horror genre, particularly in how it weaves COVID-19 life into its narrative. Unseen. In the tale of survival and unexpected alliances, Sam in Florida unknowingly becomes a lifeline for Emily, trapped in a Michigan cabin by her obsessive ex-boyfriend Charlie. The story kicks off with Sam accidentally calling Emily's number before heading to her job at a unique alligator gas station. Meanwhile, Emily, drugged and bound by Charlie, awakens to his twisted declaration of love and a threat of death. Emily's quick thinking leads to an escape into the woods, albeit with impaired vision due to broken glasses. Alone and disoriented, she reaches out for help. After a failed 911 call, she inadvertently connects with Sam, who, despite her own anxieties, decides to help. Using video calls, Sam becomes Emily's eyes, guiding her through the dense woods while they share personal struggles and form a bond. The Unseen, an indie horror film directed by Vincent Shade and scripted by Jennifer A. Goodman, is a unique cinematic experience that may not be everyone's cup of tea. With a style reminiscent of the 50s horror and a seemingly low budget, it presents a world that's off-kilter right from the start. A A key issue with the movie is its failure to anchor the audience in a relatable reality before introducing the horror elements. This approach can leave viewers disoriented, as the film lacks the gradual build-up typically effective in horror narratives. Despite this, the movie showcases innovative techniques in storytelling, especially through phone calls, which are cleverly enhanced by creative editing and camera angles. The use of split screens is particularly effective, creating character parallels and adding depth to the story. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. The once beloved anthropomorphic creatures, driven by starvation and betrayal, have turned into vengeful, feral beings. Years after Christopher left for college, leaving his childhood friends behind, the creatures, including Pooh, Piglet, Owl, and Rabbit, resorted to cannibalism to survive the harsh winter, choosing Eeyore as their victim. This act ignites a deep-seated hatred for humanity and a return to their primal instincts. Upon Christopher's return with his wife, Mary, they are ambushed. Piglet murders Mary, and Pooh and Piglet kidnap Christopher, subjecting him to psychological and physical torture. The horror escalates when a group of university students, unaware of the woodland's dark history, rent a cabin in the area. One by one, they fall prey to the brutal attacks of Pooh and Piglet. In a series of gruesome encounters, Piglet and Pooh unleash their pent-up rage and violent tendencies. The climax sees the struggle between the surviving students, Christopher, and the deranged creatures. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey dives into the horror genre with a title that grabs attention. But unfortunately, the film fails to deliver on its promising premise. The movie suffers from fundamental flaws in filmmaking, including disjointed editing and a lack of continuity. Scenes are awkwardly pieced together, creating a jarring viewing experience devoid of spatial coherence. Director Rhys Frake Waterfeld's adaptation stumbles in its execution, seemingly focusing more on gore than on crafting a compelling or scary narrative. The film does offer a few notable kill scenes, but these moments are not enough to save it from its overall lack of quality. Despite its unique and intriguing concept, Blood and Honey falls short, struggling with even the basic elements of movie making. So that was all in this video. If you think you have something that deserves a spot on this list, you know where to let me know. But I want to know, which of these have you watched? And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.